Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It is 11 after 9 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of news and views on Salam Media, especially to our Palakwani listeners on One Nation FM. Coming up in this second hour, we are going to be talking to ANC youth youth leaders, NEC member. Did I get that right? Youth League is the word I'm looking for. Fasia Hassan will also be talking about President Ramaphosa approving a 3% salary increase for ministers. But first up, we're going to be talking about another very serious situation, and that is the debacle regarding the Zim-community's ZEP permits. To talk to us about it is Chairman, Zim-community South Africa, and that's you, Nicholas Mahena. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Morning to you and morning to your viewers.
All right, so a huge issue. This has been postponed a couple of times. It's left people who own Zimbabwean nationals who are living in South Africa, who hold these permits. They are very, very uncertain about their future. And the big question, I guess, to ask is why terminating these Zimbabwean exemption permits was invalid, unlawful, and unconstitutional. If that can be proven, that would mean, I suppose, a total reprieve as far as these permit holders are concerned.
What we get to understand, because I'm not a lawyer myself, but what we get to understand is that the process itself was not constitutional in terms of termination. The court says the minister did not consult the 178,000 holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits and civil society. The minister simply began the process after a decision already had been taken. So what we understand.
Okay, that picture, the sound and visual is just frozen there. Let's see if we can reconnect with our guest, and that is Nicholas Mahena, chairperson of the Zim community here in South Africa. We're going to be talking about those ZEP permits that I understand will now become invalid come December 2023. It's in fact been extended up to that point in time. How does the situation change? Should it be changing? What are the impacts of this situation as far as the ZEP permit holders are concerned? Are you back with us, Nicholas?
Yes, I'm back. I was saying that what we understand is that the court said the process of terminating was unlawful, unconstitutional, and invalid. But the court did not instruct or will not instruct the minister whether to terminate or not to terminate. But it says if the minister wants to terminate, there must be a due process that is underway, which should happen in the next 12 months. So in our view, the 12.
Okay, that line seems to be very unstable. Let's see if we can't get you rather on the telephone. So we will take a short break and try and reconnect with Nicholas Mahena.
This is Salam Media.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink, to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration. putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Attention to all our valued brothers and sisters. Maulana Timol and team wants to express our heartfelt gratitude for entrusting us with your Qurbani. It's with great pleasure that we announce that your Qurbani was successfully performed. We extend warm wishes to you and your families, and we hope you had a joyous Eid. Jazakallah for choosing Maulana Timol and team.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
18 after 9 o'clock. Let's try once again to see if we can connect with Nicholas Mahena, chairperson of the Zimbabwean community in South Africa. And we're talking about the ZEP debacle regarding the Zimbabwean community. We do know that the renewal of the ZEP permits has been to December 2003. The date has been extended. This is the third time it's been extended. What happens now? We are told that the whole process was totally unconstitutional. How much time do the Zimbabwean permit holders, in fact, have left to renew their permits so that they can be legally able to stay in South Africa and continue doing their work and continuing as family units? Nicholas Mahena, once again, good morning, welcome. I do hope that we have you on a more stable line.
Morning to you and your viewers and listeners.
Okay, so do you want to tell us what's going down? I know that you said this was found to be unconstitutional. What is the situation of those 178,000 Zimbabweans who hold these ZEP permits?
We do not know at this stage how many had applied for waivers, because the minister had said that he is signing the waivers on daily basis, but we do not have the number of those that have applied. But what I was explaining is that in terms of the court judgment, it said the process of ending the ZEP was unconstitutional, but it did not say the minister does not have the right to end the ZEP, but it says that he did not consult holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits and civil society to understand the impact it will cause to holders of Zimbabwean permits who have children born in South Africa and who are school going. But it did not instruct the minister not to terminate the Zimbabwe exemption permit.
I'm trying to understand why the minister would have taken such a decision, because obviously if even half of these 178,000 permit holders are not renewed, does that mean mass deportation of these people back to Zimbabwe? How is that going to happen? The ZEP permit holders are legally staying in South Africa. Why would this decision have been made? It's almost as if they're being targeted, are they not?
What is happening, if you look into the history of these special permits, is that the first permits were issued for a 4-year period. The second was issued under a different name for a 3-year period, and this one, ZEP, for a 4-year period under a different name altogether. So the expectation from the holders of this special permit was that upon the expiry of the 4-year period, either the minister was going to announce a new name for the permit or maybe consider granting permanent residence on the basis that people have been in South Africa for a long time. So people did not expect the termination of the special permit because under the Immigration Act, and if you look into the requirements to move to other visas, the majority of these holders of ZEP do not qualify. This is why in 2022, when a number of them applied for waivers to move to other visas, they were rejected on the basis that they do not qualify. It was only in 2023, around March, that many people were being accepted to apply for waivers.
Let's understand what this is going to mean for all of these people. Technically, they are in the country legally because they were granted permits to be in South Africa. There seems to be a shift as far as the minister is concerned, and there's almost a suggestion that some of these or most of these permits won't be renewed. Does that mean that all of these people will have to go back to Zimbabwe? And then what about, we also know we have a lot of illegal immigrants in South Africa. How are those people going to be monitored, policed, or vetted to either remain on in the country or to go back to where they come from?
Well, these people have been legal in South Africa since 2010. If we go back to the statement by the then Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Zuma, she had said that if one applies for these special permits, one would be complying with the Immigration Act in South Africa, meaning that they are legal, they will not be deported or arrested. So they have been legal. But what has been problematic in the whole discourse around undocumented migrants is that the ZEP holders were banging together with undocumented migrants to create an impression as if ZEP are illegal in the country or are undocumented. That has been the discourse, and it has been problematic. If the minister or government rejects all the 178,000, so you have two options. Is that the first option is that those who would want to go back to Zimbabwe, relocate, they will have to do so. But we expect that the majority will then join the many that are undocumented living in South Africa, and we know what it means if people live without being documented.
What does that then say to children born with undocumented parents in the country? Do they not automatically become South African citizens? Or would the parents, if they are undocumented or otherwise, have to provide proof that they are in fact from Zimbabwe? They may not be legally in the country, or they may hold ZEP permits. What is the status of those children? Because in other countries, if you live, on a work permit or whatever it is in any other country, and if a child is born, that child in that country is automatically recognized as a citizen of the country. What's the position of the ZEP permit holders' children?
In South Africa, what happens is that if a child is born to migrants, at birth they assume the citizenship of their parents only when they are major or above 17, that they can decide either to apply for the citizenship of their parents' country of origin or where they were born, in this case, South Africa. So the consulate special for Zimbabweans, children born here, their parents apply for their Zimbabwean birth certificate at the consulate. With the birth certificate will indicate that the child is born in South Africa. Then the child should have a passport, then apply for a study visa. So that on its own presents itself with a number of challenges, because you have children that are born here who are not yet documented. And at this stage, since the expiring of the ZEP, parents are unable to apply for the study permits of their children because their own permits are expired. So they have to show that they are legal in the country in terms of the sticker indicating the expiry date of the permit.
I'm also wondering about the issue around these permits being valid till December 2023. And we do know that come December, a lot of migrants, documented or not, go back home, whether it's to Zimbabwe or wherever else, other parts of Africa. Would that then mean that once you go home on that ZEP permit, you won't be able to come back into South Africa, depending on what the outcome is, the decision of the minister regarding possibly making those ZEP permits permanent, or, having to reapply, or whatever that decision is going to be. But let's just look at worst case scenario. If it is not extended, if the validity of the permit is not extended and you go home in December, will you not be able to come back into South Africa?
The court judgment said the permits are valid and for the next 12 months from the day of judgment, which is 28 June 2024. And also in that judgment, there's also an interdict by the court to say the minister should not arrest or deport anyone with a hold of ZEP. So we do not expect that people have problems, but we're also aware that the minister is appealing the judgment. But what the court said is that for the next 12 months up to June 2024, ZEP holders should continue to enjoy the rights that they've been enjoying under this permit.
In the meantime, are these ZEP permit holders reapplying for extensions of some sort? What is the feeling? What is the action as far as ZEP permit holders are concerned? It can't be very comfortable not knowing what your future holds for the next 6 months or the next year for that matter, because it does impact on your forward planning, does it not?
People are applying, and the main concern that we have is the process to process the applications. For instance, we have people that applied for waivers in 2022. Up to now, no decision has been made, notwithstanding the fact that the minister said there is a task team headed by the former director in the presidency to process those applications. We've been noticing that those that applied, some that applied in 2023, they are getting their results. They have been granted waivers, but those applied in 2022, up to now, they are still waiting. So the process is slow on the part of the Department of Home Affairs to process these applications for waivers so that people can then apply to move to other visas.
So does that, the waiver, what does that exactly mean? Does that mean that you are given that you are allowed to stay indefinitely in South Africa, or does it give you some sort of leeway to apply for, what are the options? You're saying other permits. What are those permits? What do those options look like?
Look, the majority apply for a general working visa because they are talking of people of low skill, of petrol attendants, domestic workers, people working in supermarkets and tellers or packers. So they would ordinarily not qualify for any other visa. So what is happening is that the minister then signs off a waiver if you state that you have been working in South Africa for so many years, the work that you do. The minister would then say, he then grants you a waiver to apply for any of the visas, which in the most cases the general working visa. But there are those that are married to South Africans or someone who's on permanent residence that they are applying for spouse visa. So these are the two permits that many people are applying for because the other visas, they do not qualify.
What do these visa application cost the ordinary person? You've indicated that the working visas is mainly for people, petrol attendants, domestic workers, gardeners, etc. They don't earn much money as it is. I'm thinking in time and effort and monetarily, what is it costing these people to go and reapply for visas?
The waiver is 1,550 rands. Once you are granted a waiver, you need to fork something plus minus 3,000 rands to apply for a visa, which is about 2,800 something. So safely say 3,000 to apply for a visa. So that will be 3,000 plus 1.5, which comes to 4,450, the entire process.
And of course, your time and your transport to get there and stand in queues for hours on end or days on end. It sounds so terribly laborious and unfair on these poor people that are trying to eke out a living in South Africa. However, I also hear that the good news is that the Helen Suzman Foundation is challenging this decision. Do you believe that perhaps they could also speak on behalf of the people for the visa applications or the cost of these visas to be brought down to affordable levels at least?
Well, it's something that should be raised because the fees, as we understand, are not paid directly to government. Because remember, there's a verification visa center, VFS, which processes these applications, which is like a conduit between the applicant and the Department of Home Affairs. So the monies that we are talking about are paid to VFS because people do not apply direct to the Department of Home Affairs. They submit their applications to a private agent, which is the VFS.
Sure. So in the process, somebody's making a lot of money, and the poorest of the poor keep on slogging away, working hard. It's probably an entire month's salary for them to apply for a visa. Let's hope and pray that there's some good news with the Helen Suzman's Foundation challenging this ruling. And if they do win, what is the way forward for migrants that find themselves in this situation, and especially you, Nicholas, being the chairperson of the Zimbabwean community here in South Africa? What is your next step to assist the people to ease their financial burden as far as visa applications and their right to stay in South Africa is concerned?
Maybe firstly, let's deal with the Helen Suzman Foundation. They are the ones that took the Department of Home Affairs to court. They've won the case. This is the case that we have been discussing in this interview, that the court then said the minister has 12 months to conduct a process which is free and fair, where he has to consult everyone involved, which this process should expire 2024 June. So it was the Helen Suzman. It actually won that case. Then the issue of the cost, as I'm saying, is something that should be dealt with the VFS. We don't think we direct with Home Affairs because Home Affairs contracted a private company to receive applications on their behalf. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we're just going to be sitting with fingers crossed regarding this matter, and we will hope that you will shout out to us when there is news pertaining to issues that are raised going forward. And we do hope we can have future discussions around this, and we hope and pray that it works out well for the RET permit, I beg your pardon, the ZEP permit holders. Anything else you'd like to share with us as we wrap up?
What we are doing ourselves is to ensure that every ZEP holder remains documented beyond the expiry of the 12 months as set by the High Court. We do not want to get to a situation where a person finds themselves undocumented and they face arrest and deportation.
Well, you keep up the good work. Look out for your fellow Zimbabweans, and we hope that this all ends well. thank you indeed for talking to us. And once again, we do pray that it ends well for all of those ZEP permit holders.
The pleasure is mine.
9:36 News and Views on Salam Media. Next, we're going to be talking with Dr. Dale McKinley, political analyst and economist. So that's going to be, I suppose, our final interview for the morning.